I started a bit late. I started in August, September. So I hardly had 2.5, 3 months for prep. You will only be able to solve the tricky questions if you have a cool and calm composure. Forget your ego. Like ego problem is a very big thing in such exams. Even if you can't solve it, leave it, come back later. I had calls from IIM Indore, IIM Mumbai, DMS IIT Delhi, and Saleh Mehta School of Management, SJM, that is IIT Bombay's School of Management. I converted all of them. See, these are very experienced people, experienced professors, and based on your percentile and your profile, they will very well know what other calls you'll have. And it's okay to not have a particular domain in mind when you're appearing for an interview or you're just joining a B school. The learning and the growth is more important. Like a short-term salary, like it's only a starting point. Even if I have to take a salary cut, it's just a starting point. But the platform and the learning that IIM Indore will give me will boost my growth much faster in the upcoming years while keeping a long-term horizon. Everything is thrown at you at once and you're expected to catch all of them. Like we hardly used to get 4.5 hours of sleep for the first 3 months.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Placement Buddies. Let me welcome you all to another episode of Let's Hear from the Experienced. And today, in order to share his interview experience with IIM Indore, we have Debosmit with us. Hi Debosmit, welcome to Placement Buddies.
Hi Saleh, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak here. I hope the session will be very insightful for all the CAT aspirants and those who are appearing for the interview this year as well as in future, and those who are considering to join IIM Indore.
Yeah. So Debosmit, अपने बारे में हमारे ऑडियंस को कुछ बताओ.
So I graduated as a petroleum engineer from IIT ISM Dhanbad in 2021, and after that I had 2 years of work experience at Vedanta Kane Oil and Gas, that too as a petroleum engineer. Then I decided to undertake a MBA, and I got into IIM Indore, and currently I have just completed my first year of postgraduate program in management at IIM Indore, and looking forward to the second year. And apart from that, I hail from Kolkata, West Bengal, and that's where I did my schooling. And apart from profession and academics, I'm also an amateur photographer.
That's great. That's great, Debosmit. You have got a very good profile, and I'm quite sure your 1 year of journey in IIM Indore was a roller coaster ride. So we'll come to that, but let's start with the basics. When have you thought of pursuing an MBA, and how did you take your CAT journey on?
So you see, after about a year of my service in Vedanta, I started getting more conscious about managing my personal finances, and that introduced me to the world of mutual funds and equity market and the debt market, and I started reading about them in details. This sparked my interest in the domain of finance, and I decided that MBA will be the best way to get into learn in a more structured fashion. And I started preparing for my CAT. So I did my preparation of my own accord. I did it myself using online resources. I didn't join any coaching center as such. So I used the publicly available books and bought some books from Arun Sharma and used them for quant practice as well as LRDI and VRC. For LRDI, I also used the Bodhi Prep website that has several questions on LRDI for practicing. And also I solved the past papers of CAT, previous year's papers. So one can go for all these things. And for mock exams, it's very important to give mock exams, because ultimately you'll have to simulate the conditions of the exam day. So I used the IMS mock package. I bought the IMS mock package, and I wrote those mock exams. And also it's very important to analyze your post mock performance. After giving your mock exam, you will get a list of scores, and it will show where your strength is, where your weakness is. Mm-hmm. So you must go through that post mock report and find out your strengths and weakness and work accordingly. Also, space your mocks. That there should be some time gap between 2 mocks that you give, right? Because if I give a mock today and then I give a mock tomorrow, there is hardly any time for improvement. So when I give a mock, I analyze the result and then I work on my weaknesses, right? Then you give the second mock 3 to 4 days later, or maybe 1 week later, depending upon how much time you have between now and the exam.
Correct.
And it's always like I started a bit late. I started in August, September, so I hardly had 2.5, 3 months for prep. So that's not an ideal time frame. You should at least have 6 months of preparation. And I would also advise to go for a structured preparation method. And for that, you can take enroll into some good online coachings. I will not suggest any online coaching because I have not personally taken them, but if you talk with other people, you will get to learn about different coaching centers that provide online coaching. So that way it will be more structured learning, and you won't have to waste time looking for resources, because I personally had to scout the resources from here and there. So it led to a lot of wastage of time, which I feel decreased my efficiency later. So if you want to be focused, then have at least 6 months of time and go for a coaching that will give you all the materials and everything that you need, as well, along with more practice exams and practice sets. And for the last couple of months, practice mocks every, like 2 mocks every week should be the ideal for you. And you should have a growth in your mock scores. It's important to have a growth, because if you stay stagnant, that the first mock that you give and the last mock that you give, if you do not show any improvement, then well, it's kind of a disappointment. So you should be improving upon your weaknesses and making your strengths even harder.
Correct.
Yeah. So, and apart from that, also on the day of the exam or a couple of days before the exam, it's important to keep a very cool and calm mind. Don't like give any mocks or exams like in the last 2-3 days before the exam, because of some reason, if you cannot perform well in the mock, then your confidence will falter unnecessarily. So don't go for mocks last 2-3 days. Have faith on your abilities to perform well, and keep a cool and calm mind, and like revise on your concepts, important formulas or important tricks, and everything that you do. Another important thing which I did was I prepared a formula sheet having all the like quant formulas and all the tricks and tips for the DILR section, as well as some basic grammar rules for VRC. This 2-3 pages of sheet, this will come immensely helpful like a few hours before the exam, or like on the day before, evening before the exam. You can like go through the whole sheet, and you will have everything in your mind, like it will be a flashback of your entire journey.
Right.
So that will help you. And apart from that, also for VRC specifically, since you have these long essay questions, so for these reading comprehensions, for this, what I used to do was I used to read newspapers, and I used to read like essays, articles from eon.com. So you can use that resource as well. That's a freely available resource, and you can have some paid subscriptions of newspapers like the Hindu or the Mint, or even like the Times will do, Times of India or New York. Even New York Times is even better. So if you go through the article, you will develop the patience of reading long essays and then grasping what it is all about, because you have to go, like, you have to understand what it is implying. The questions will not be like direct questions based on the essays. It will be more of an implication of what your interpretation is about the topic that is being discussed in the essay. So, and definitely on the day of the exam, as I said, do not stress, because you will only be able to solve the tricky questions if you have a cool and calm composure. And like, you don't have to like answer every question correctly. Of course, you will have to maintain a very high accuracy rate, and will try to maximize the number of questions you answer. But even if you cannot, you're finding one particular question difficult to answer, then do not get stuck in that question. It's
Right.
it's a very important suggestion from my end. I have seen very many people get stuck on a particular question, DILR question or quant question, and spend 5-10 minutes on that, and then the whole of the rest of the exam is jeopardized. It's just one question. You can skip it for time being if you can't solve it, and move to the next question, solve that section, and then come back to that particular question if you have time left at the end. Because one question is not worth spending much time. Like, you'll have to do a benefit analysis, right? So it's not worth that the time that you are wasting on it. Forget your ego. Like, ego problem is a very big thing in such exams. So even if you can't solve it, leave it, come back later. So that's basic to do, and carry your admit card and everything, ID cards for the exam, because such checkings will happen and you don't want to get into a mess
Yeah,
at the last moment. And even if your exam center is quite far away, it happened I think this year that the
correct.
exam
Yeah,
center was not in the first one preference. So in that case also, reach the exam center at least hour and a half before the, like couple of hours before the exam time. And once you reach there, you will have some time to chill out a bit, maybe have a chocolate before the exam, or go for some coconut water or anything, so that you stay well hydrated and well fed before the exam. You don't want to get hungry, or you don't want to feel like dehydrated amidst the exam. It will reduce your cognitive abilities. So these are basic do's and don'ts of an exam day.
right. So let's talk about the interview calls, Debosmit, right now. So after the exam, based on your percentile, what all interview calls you had, and we will discuss specifically more about the IIM Indore interview. Please go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So I had calls from IIM Indore, IIM Mumbai, DMS IIT Delhi, and Saleh Mehta School of Management, SJM, that is IIT Bombay's School of Management. I also had CAP calls, but I did not sit for those interviews. I sat for all these four schools which I mentioned, and I converted all of them. So yeah, so specifically for interview preparation, see, the calls will vary a lot depending upon your profile. It will depend on your 10, 12 marks. It will
Right.
depend on your background stream. It's engineering, non-engineering, your gender, and then also your how much work experience you have. So the calls generally start coming in the month of January. And once you get the score, you will get a fair idea of what all calls you can expect. But if you're in a borderline of some schools, it might happen that you might unfortunately not get a call. But do not feel discouraged in that case. Whatever calls you have, you try to convert them. Like, put in your best efforts, right?
Right.
Whether or not they will convert depends entirely on a whole lot of things which are not under our control. But what we can do is, like, we can prepare ourselves well. So starting from the month of December to, I think the interviews will mostly occur in end of February, March, or early April. So you'll get 2 months of time. Use this 2 months of time to prepare yourself. And for that, there is an extensive set of things which you have to cover, because these interviews are like mini UPSC interviews.
Right.
In that, yeah. So you'll have to, firstly, the questions will be about your, like if you're a fresher, in that case, the questions will be mainly based on, technical questions will be mainly based on your undergraduate stream that you have graduated in, or any other internship projects, experiences, or interests which you have written in your resume, or your statement of purpose for that particular school. So this will be based on that. And if you have work experience, the technical questions will also relate around the role that you currently in, what type of challenges you face, and any important projects that you have undertaken in your role. Of course, you won't divulge the trade secrets or the client details of such projects, but you will need to talk about what you specifically did on these projects, what problems you faced. So all these things are going to be asked upon. The more number of work experience years you have, the more it's going to be biased towards your work experience. But even I had 22 months of work experience, but still my interview also had a lot of questions about my undergraduate subjects as well. So you need to prepare well about all these subjects. So that's the technical aspect of it. Other than that, you'll also need to prepare about the general the events that are unfolding across the world and in India. The current affairs of last 1 year, you must be aware of all major events that had happened, both in India and outside of India. And that includes events like wars or any crisis that is happening, as well as, and especially business and financial news is the most important. You need to be well aware of all business, like all important business news or all important financial transactions or economic condition of the macroeconomic condition of India and the world. And apart from that, important geopolitical news also you need to be aware of, and you need to have an opinion about this. Being aware is not enough, right? They will ask you about your opinion, how you feel about these issues that are happening around the world. you need to have an unbiased opinion about them. So when you read about these events or about these conditions, try to find out a few positives and few negatives about them and try to form an opinion, like prepare some notes about it, right? Don't just
Right.
read a news and forget it. It will not help you on the interview day. Prepare some notes and try to develop your opinion on all these things. So that's one important aspect. Other than that, you should be well aware of the school that for whose interview you are appearing for.
Correct.
Like they'll ask you about the school's motto. What is the school's motto? What is the vision of the school? How does it align with your vision? Why do you want to choose that particular B school over other calls that you might be having? Yes, here one important question that sometimes interviewers ask is what other calls you have. See, these are very experienced people, experienced professors, and based on your percentile and your profile, they will very well know what other calls you'll have.
Right.
So many people, just say that I have only this B school's call, but that is not true. You must be truthful there. Tell them that I have this calls A, B, C, or whatever calls I have. I have these calls, and then you can tell that despite having so many calls, I will prefer joining your school, and then you give the reason that why you want
Correct.
to join this particular school, right? Yeah, so that's it. And then other than that, they might also ask you about who are the famous alumnus of our school. So you can Google it up before appearing for those interviews. And depending upon your profile, your panel will be selected. For engineers, mostly professors from statistics or operations management or supply chain management are on the panel. So you can expect some questions on, for engineers, you can expect questions on mathematics, basic probability statistics, or basic proofs like prove the Pythagoras theorem, or proof that the sum of the two sides of a triangle are greater than the third side, and some basic mathematics proofs like this. So yeah, that's more or less about the interviews.
So Debosmit, tell us more about, specifically more about the IIM Indore interview. Like what questions were asked from the IIM Indore panelists?
Yeah. So IIM Indore's interview for me took place on 21st of February 2023. But the interviews also for different people took place. For some people it took place in March. For some it took place in April. So you can expect a call early as well. So best be prepared for that. Like
Right.
assume the worst case scenario that you will have a earliest call. And for that, like my interview took place in Calcutta because I had chosen that as my preferred place. But you will also have options of choosing other metro cities as well. So that will happen when you fill the CAT form. Like you'll be given an option to choose the venue. So choose it wisely depending on which location you will prefer to give the interview from.
Right.
And my interview took place in Calcutta at the Shonar Bangla ITC hotel. And generally it takes place in a 5-star hotel. And they'll report there, and they'll do a document verification of all the documents that you have submitted, and they will also verify your certificates. Like you need to have the physical copy of these certificates and documents. And in case you don't have a particular certificate or document on that occasion, especially for those people who have not graduated yet or have not received the degree certificate, they'll take an undertaking declaration that you will be providing them the certificate before joining or at the time of registration in case you are selected after the interview, right?
Right.
So the interview panel for me had two professors, and one of them was from the HR management department, and one was from the operations management department. And there might also be three professors, as was the case with some of my friends, or depends highly. Anyways, so the professors were very courteous, and they welcomed me to the room. And after that, they basically started it was all about petroleum engineering, technicalities of petroleum engineering. So the first question that they asked me was, how do you load? What is the mechanism of loading a shipping tanker with oil? So I had no experience with that because I had no offshore experience, and that's more of a downstream job, and I'm an upstream petroleum engineer. So I told them at first that I am not aware of it, and it's okay to not know things, but you shouldn't give wrong answers. That gives a very wrong message. So if you don't know anything, then you clearly tell them that you are not aware of it, and you will get to know it. You'll learn about it after going back, right?
Correct.
So the next question, yeah. So the next question that they asked me was, what's the difference between compressed natural gas, liquefied natural gas, piped natural gas, LNG, CNG, and PNG, and LPG, liquid petroleum gas. That I answered correctly. After that, they told me that if I have an oil company and if I have, discovered a oil field, then how do I determine whether or not it will be worthwhile to invest into that particular oil field or develop all the wells, that drill all the wells there and develop the facilities for that, so that at the end of the year I can earn some profit. So I explained the economics behind petroleum engineering to them briefly. And then they asked me that how will you decide how many type of how many oil wells you want to drill in a particular location. So I also explained the theory behind determining the number of wells that we drill in a particular area. Then they asked me basic questions about reservoir engineering, like what is primary recovery, secondary recovery, tertiary recovery, what are the different phases of oil and gas that is present beneath the surface of the earth, and how do you I then they asked me about my work experience, what I do as a petroleum engineer. So I told them that I was in the hydraulic fracturing division in the gas wells. So they asked me about the basic refining process of gas. Like we all know, the oil is refined, but gas is also refined. And they asked me about how do we go about with the refining process. And they asked me what is hydraulic fracturing, which I explained to them. They asked me to draw the diagram there. So they'll give you a pen and a paper, pencil and a paper, and I would advise you to use that pencil and paper. That shows that you are like interested in explaining visually. Like if you can explain something visually, it means you have a very good clarity about that subject matter. So I use that pen and paper and drew a diagram and explain to them visually that this is how hydraulic fracturing is done and this is how fractures are created, and other steps that we do once the hydraulic fracturing is done. So these were the questions. Then they asked me what are my views on the future outlook of the oil and gas industry, and specifically related to the Indian context, because we know that the Western world is shifting away from oil and gas, but for developing emerging economies like India, the story is entirely different.
Right.
So I explained it to them. So yeah, these were the basic questions that they asked me. That was mainly petroleum engineering, and after that they asked me one question related to crowdsourcing. So I was not aware of that term at that point in time. So I told them that I'm not aware of it, and then they themselves explained it to me. Yeah, this is all crowdsourcing. And then they told me that why do I want to do an MBA. So I explained like the first part of our video session, as I had explained, I explained the same to them, that this is my inspiration behind pursuing an MBA. And then they asked me that why do I specifically want to choose IIM Indore over the other calls that I have, which I also explained to them. And then they for people who are in a profession, they might they asked for me, like they had my salary slip as well. So they told me that you are earning so much currently, it might happen that after an MBA you have to take a salary cut, right? You might not get so much salary even after doing an MBA, because salary, not everyone who gets into a B school gets a 5-star package, right? It might happen that the economy is in recession as it is now, and you'll have to compromise on your package. So I explained it to them that the learning and the growth is more important. Like a short term salary, it's only a starting point. Even if I have to take a salary cut, it's just a starting point. But the platform and the learning that IIM Indore will give me will boost my growth much faster in the upcoming years while keeping a long-term horizon. So it was an answer I think they liked very much. And yeah, so that's after that they told me that we have asked you so many questions. So if you have any questions, you can ask us. So it's a very you should use this opportunity well, because you shouldn't ask them black and white whether or not they will select you, because that's not a good question to ask. Even they don't know it. They have not interviewed all the candidates yet, right? And even if they know, they are not bound to give you the answer. So don't so don't go for yes, no, or close-ended questions. Go for open-ended questions that will also help you learn. You can ask them about their daily lives, or what do they love about teaching in a B school, what interesting projects that they might be working on. Or you can even, like, I ask them that how can I prep myself before joining a B school. Like, if I am selected, then how can I prep myself so that I have an edge over other participants once I join the school. So they told me a few things that you can do before joining a B school, which will make your journey easier there, especially since we are from engineering. Like, I am from engineering background, and if you are too, then you'll see there are a lot of different subjects that will come across in your term one, and it might be overwhelming then, because you'll have to also prep for your summer internships, and in that case you'll also have to manage academics, and there will be a whole lot of new things to do. So balancing everything will be quite challenging.
Right. So as you mentioned, Debosmit, just after you got selected and you entered IIM Indore, it must be very overwhelming for you right at the beginning. Okay, everything is suddenly coming, your way, like joining the clubs and bodies which are present in India in different IIMs. And suddenly you realize you have to start preparing for your summer internships as well. And you have to manage all the academics, all the quizzes, assignments, and everything. So how do you manage, like sometimes 24 hours might be shorter. So how do you manage all this? Like, how was your entire experience of, those terms were like in your first year?
Yeah, you're absolutely right about all the things that you mentioned, and it's not only for me; it's for every person who joins a B school. Like, it's everything is thrown at you at once, and you're expected to catch all of them. And as you mentioned, there were for a couple of months, every one of us wished that the length of a day was more than 24 hours, but
Correct.
unfortunately it is not so. So what we had to do is, you have to compromise on your personal time, you'll have to compromise on your sleep. Like, we hardly used to get 4.5 hours of sleep for the first 3 months, like until the term one was over. It's very, very hectic, and
Mm.
you'll learn to deal with it once you get into a B school. But yeah, there are, like, as I said, if you have some prior knowledge before joining, it helps in a few it helps you to give you a edge. There will be these new subjects that you'll have to deal with, and term one, especially at IIM Indore, is quite heavy. So you'll have to learn more about basics of marketing, you'll have to learn about operations management, you'll have to learn about HR, organizational behavior, you will have to learn about finance, you'll have to learn basics about strategy consulting, right? So everything you'll have to learn about, have a idea about, and then you'll also start with your summer internship preparation. So the summer internship process varies depending upon different IIMs and other B schools. For Indore, generally it takes place in September, August, September. Depending upon your school, it might be a little later or during the same time. So mostly it will coincide with your term one or early term two, but you'll have to spend your term one, prepping about all these things. And
Right.
for prepping, like, depending upon your domain of interest, you'll have a couple of domain, or you'll have to choose a couple of domain of interest and prep accordingly. But also you'll have to be aware that you might not always get the shortlist for the company you are wishing for, or you are expecting to have. In that case, you must also have the basic idea about the other domains, in case you will have to sit for those interviews, right?
Correct.
And for that, the best way to prep is to use the resources that are developed by the clubs and committees of each B school, and also you can use online resources which are available, or you can get the resources from your seniors. I would advise that once you reach the campus, during the initial couple of weeks, you might have a bit of free time during the orientation process, but these are going to be the last of the free times that you will be having
True.
maybe in a year. So in that case, do not waste this time leisuring about. Get to know your friends. Like, you need to have study groups there. Like, you cannot always study on your own, because there are going to be things like case competitions, or there are going to be case preparation sessions which you must do for consulting or marketing interviews. And for this, you need to have a good peer group, which with whom you can practice daily. So you need to identify these people, who are these going to be, and say, if you are an engineer, or you have a particular background, don't just form a group with people of the same background. It will not add much value, because all of us will be having the same expertise or same same outlook. So
Correct.
it's good to have people from different backgrounds, have someone from arts, have someone from commerce background. So it will, definitely help you give a diversified point of view when analyzing cases. And also, like, these people will have different strengths. For example, a CA can help you teach finance, or
Mm.
economics guy can help you learn basics of microeconomics, macroeconomics. You can in turn help them learn basics of mathematics, or like statistics and all these things which you have the skills which you have developed as an engineer, right? So you use the couple of weeks to network with people, network with both your peers as well as your seniors, because you need to identify people in the senior batch who can help you out with specific processes of specific companies, or they have done the internship there, they have cracked the process the year back, so
Correct.
they will definitely have a great idea about those companies. So get to know about these people, talk with these people, and also you can talk with people who are have topped specific subjects, like how did they study those subjects, and they will help you understand concepts about those subjects which you might not be able to grasp in the during the lectures. Another important thing is to be very consistent with your academics. Do not like keep it for the last moment, one night before the exam, because it might happen that one night before the exam you have a company process and you'll have to sit for
Correct.
that company process and prepare for that. In that case, your exam gets messed up, because you will not have time to prep, and one night's prep is not enough for B schools. I know, as engineers,
Engineers,
most of
yeah.
us, yeah, as engineers, most of us have pulled all-nighters and excelled in the exam the next day. But it doesn't happen for a B school, specifically because there will be questions which are application-based questions, which
Mm.
will test your understanding on the subject rather than a particular formula. Like,
Right.
using the formula, you will arrive at a value, but what to do with that value, you need to have that understanding, right? So you, like, be consistent with your academics whenever you get time throughout the 2-3 months of term time that you have. Keep reading about those subjects, keep revising the concepts. If you do not understand the concept, you can go to a friend who has understood the concept, or go to a senior. You can also approach the professor, like email them that I have not understood this particular concept. They will help you out, and this will definitely help you maintain a good grade in your examinations. And specifically for IIM Indore, what happens is that we have, not only from IIM Indore, I guess that's true for all the B schools, like you will have surprise quizzes in between. Like,
Right.
if you have the end terminal exam, say in September or October, you will have quizzes in August third week or September first week, some time around that. So these are going to be surprise quizzes. You won't have a prior notification. They will let you know couple of hours or 1 hour before the exam, and they will suddenly have an exam knocking at your doors. So in order to perform well in these exams, you need to be consistent. And another important aspect which happens at IIMs is you have a component called class participation, or CP as we call it. So class participation basically means that the professor will be discussing certain concepts or asking questions in the class, and based upon your knowledge, you are expected to answer those questions or participate in such discussions and contribute positively, not like blabber anything or everything in the world. Like, you'll have to make sense about what you speak, because if you say something wrong, or if you say something very irrelevant, then it gives you a negative score in the class participation component, and that will also have an impact on your grades.
Right.
So if you are consistent with your studies, you have read all the cases. Like, we have a case based teaching methodology in top B schools, where you are expected to read a particular business case before a class, and then that case is discussed along with the concepts during the class hours. So you have to pre-read the cases before the class, not like engineering, that once you go to the class you're taught a new concept. It's not like that. You'll have to read and go to the class. So if you do that, then you will be able to positively contribute to the class. It will help your peers as well, as they will get to know your point of view, and you will be able to know the point of view of your peers as well. And then it will also improve your grades, because you will get a good grade in class participation. So
Right.
even if you are introvert, you must not allow that trait to prevent you from speaking. You have to speak there because you need good grades and you need to contribute to the decision making process. That will what will help you become a good manager later. So
Correct.
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Everything you do in your B school will only make you prepare for the next, life which is coming after B school. And you correctly mentioned networking, with not only people from your background. In fact, you should have a diversity in your network so that you can learn different things from different people. That is where, an offline MBA, or maybe I can say MBA from, after going into some B school's campus. Otherwise, there are a lot of options to pursue MBA online. So everybody
Mhm.
does want to go into IIMs or top B schools only to have a good network over there, so that which gives you an edge
Exactly.
over online MBA or others. Right.
Exactly. So as we say that network is your net worth. Net
Yeah.
worth is how much your value. In this aspect, you must network, and networking is not like professional networking. You'll also develop good friends there who will keep in touch with after your
Correct.
B school is over, and they you will help them sometimes in life. They will help you sometimes in life, and it keeps on going that way. Another important thing is to be well active in the extracurriculars that are happening
Hmm.
in the college, and for that you can be part of several clubs and committees which are there in your particular B school. So for that also it's important to align your interest with that club. For example, since I was interested in finance, I decided to join the finance club of IIM Indore. So if you are interested in say marketing, then you should go for the marketing club. You shouldn't go for the consulting club, or you shouldn't go for any other committee, because in that way, if your interests are not aligned, you'll already have a lot of things to do, and the
Correct.
club or the committee work will come as a burden to you if your interests are not aligned, and
Correct.
then you will hate doing that thing. So it won't add any value to your resume or to your learnings. So be sure of what you want to do, and then join the club or committee accordingly. And it's okay to not have a particular domain in mind when you're appearing for an interview, or you're just joining a B school.
Hmm.
For my case it was clear, but it might not be so for your case. There are many people who don't have any idea, and it's perfectly all right, because once you join, you'll have a month's time to figure out what
Right.
domain interests you. Like, you'll be taught the basics in all the classes, so you'll get a flavor of everything, and then there will be seniors with whom you can speak, who have interned at particular companies, and then you'll get to know that what type of work is done in those companies, and then you can decide your domain accordingly.
Correct. Means you can develop a specific interest towards, a specific domain, but you should keep yourself to like open for learning everything,
Definitely.
right, in your first year.
Definitely.
Correct.
Yeah. And everything helps. Like, even if you say I'm interested in finance, it doesn't mean that I'm not interested in the marketing and the consulting cases, because these are also, like, they also have a finance component attached
Hmm.
to them. The consulting also helps you develop business perspective, which is important for your finance role as well later. So
Correct.
everything helps. Like, you should not be closed to your specific interest only. Like you said, you should be open to learning everything, because it's a general management degree
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So you should be well aware of all things.
Correct.
Yeah,
So as you rightly said, Debosmit, like I must appreciate the way you have covered, different stages of the life of an MBA aspirant to someone who cracks, B school and enters a B school and is surviving over there and learning new things. So just before wrapping it up, would you like to give any particular tips to a person who is at any stage from out of these three, like one, a cat aspirant, number two, one who is preparing for an interview, and third who is right now in a B school and striving for more.
so yeah, for CAT aspirants, the tips that I said is have 6 months of time in hand and prepared in a structured manner. Be disciplined in your preparation, prepare daily, don't skip a day, and try to revise at least two, like VRC, DILR, and Quant. So at least two, like two of them in a particular day, you should take up for practice, and appear for mocks a month or two before the exam, and have some time between two mocks, and try to improve on your mock scores. So
Right.
that's a brief conclusion of that part. Secondly, for interview aspirants, read a lot, like read lots of newspapers, read every business finance news that you can get across, form opinion about those things, and revise basic concepts from your undergraduate or work experience, and have a general idea about the macroeconomic condition of India and the world, like the GDP growth rate, inflation, how it is going to change, the interest rate scenarios, and all these things, so that you can have a well diversified perspective during your interviews and keep calm and cool, right? And for new aspirants who are going to join these schools after selection, first of all, congratulations for that, and take some time to chill out before joining, because the next few months are going to be very hectic. Go there, make good friends with your seniors as well as in your own batch, and find out your interest, try to align your goals and activities along with your interest, and give your best for the summer internship process.
Right. So thanks a lot, Debosmit. Thanks a lot for joining, and sharing your interview experience and, rightly covering all the aspects what an MBA aspirant or, someone who is looking forward to join a B school in near future would love to hear about. So, thank you so much again for joining Placement Buddies. All the best for your summer internships and your journey ahead. And we wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you, Saleh. Thank you for this, giving me an opportunity to speak, and it was a pleasure to speak with you. See you again later.
Yeah.
And all the best to all the CAT aspirants.
Yeah. Thanks.